Hey guys! I decided to go back to the very beginning of Charmed and rewatch it in its entirety to help compile different theories and plot holes and stuff. And there's something that struck me while rewatching The Wedding from Hell that I just wanted to share with you guys and see what you guys think. So in the beginning of The Wedding from Hell, Phoebe touches the box that contained Piper's pregnancy test in the bathroom and has a premonition of a demon baby being born. She automatically assumes it's Piper giving birth, even though Phoebe didn't actually see Piper in the vision. And obviously we find out it wasn't her after all, it was really the queen of the underworld, Hecate, aka Jade. But after rewatching The Wedding from Hell, I realized that there were a lot of similarities between this episode and the events of season 4, specifically the episode Womb Raider, where we see a very similar vision play out.
Please let him be normal. Please, please, please let him be normal.
Shoulders, and he is out. Would you like to see your new boy?
And it has me wondering, was Phoebe seeing Jade's future? Or hers? It's a wild theory, but the more I think about it, the more the pieces seem to line up. I mean, Phoebe saw a vision of a demon child being born, but didn't see any details about the mother except for her legs. So there's really no way to tell who the mother was or at what period in time the baby would have been born. And Phoebe ultimately comes to the conclusion that it's the demon child of Hecate who, as stated in the episode,
she has to find an innocent, put him under her spell, and marry him in a sanctified wedding.
Which, if you think about it, was kind of mirrored in Phoebe's wedding to Cole, aka the Source. Phoebe was technically the innocent in that situation, and she was being put under the spell of evil influence thanks to the Seer and Cole, and they did have to marry in a sanctified wedding of sorts. And it's mentioned that Hecate is specifically doing this so that her baby will look normal on the outside, but inside would be pure demon.
Well, she needs Elliot to impregnate her. That way her child would look normal on the outside, but internally and mentally, her child would be pure demon.
And we saw from the premonition in season 4 that Phoebe's baby would look normal on the outside, but clearly inside it was pure evil.
Stay away. That's not Phoebe anymore.
What do you mean? The baby was never mine. From the moment it took over, it just felt like this black hole of evil. Totally soulless.
So really, it does kind of draw a strange parallel to everything that was said about Hecate in The Wedding from Hell. And this wouldn't have been the first time that Phoebe had a premonition warning her of her distant future, like how in the season 2 episode Morality Bites, she foresaw herself being burned at the stake a decade into the future, or how she foresaw her other children in various premonition/vision quests. And when it comes to this premonition, truth be told, Phoebe has always been drawn to evil. It's established in the very beginning of the show in season 1 that she's more susceptible to its influence due to her being born in the manor with the Nexus.
You were the only one that was born in the house. That makes you more connected to it. It's that spiritual nexus thing.
That's exactly my point. I could go either way, good or evil.
And this is a trend that continues throughout the seasons until she finally does give into the dark side in season 4 and becomes queen of the underworld.
Phoebe, you're evil. You're like the queen of all evil. Literally.
That's beside the point.
And it's easy to assume that was simply because of the influence of the baby, but like I said, she's always been drawn to the dark side. And even in the alternate timeline we see in the season 5 episode Centennial Charmed, where Cole didn't become the Source, Phoebe still became evil. So I definitely think the show was always building towards that momentum, and maybe in a way, this premonition was her earliest warning sign. And something else that I thought was kind of weird is that, look at this scene where Phoebe's reading about Hecate. She grew up with Piper and had no reason to believe that Piper would ever be evil. And yet, even after she reads about Hecate, she still believes it could be Piper. So doesn't that kind of suggest that whatever Phoebe read implied that the queen of the underworld could appear as anyone? Even someone he grew up with? Like Piper? Or Phoebe? I mean, we know that past lives are definitely a thing in the show, and Phoebe's past life was evil, so maybe even your soul can influence that? I don't know, but it's definitely got me thinking. Also because Phoebe's premonitions are highly dependent on the psychic energy connected to an item or environment. So what I don't get is why touching the box of a pregnancy test Piper took at home would have triggered a premonition of Jade's future demon child. That would have been much more likely to take place at the Spencer estate at some point, right? Because that's where Jade's psychic energy would have been the strongest. Or even touching the poignard meant to banish the queen of the underworld would have triggered that premonition. But it doesn't. It's something connected to Phoebe's family. Weird, right? And speaking of the poignard, I know it was meant to vanquish Hecate, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it might just have worked on evil Phoebe as well. And one more thing about the whole situation I thought was very interesting was that it was Phoebe touching Piper's box that triggered the premonition. So if we assume that Phoebe was having a premonition of herself in the future, then it makes me wonder if the series of events that would lead to that were somehow connected to Piper, and that's why it happened when she touched Piper's box. That is something I find very curious when we think about Centennial Charmed, and we see that in this alternate future, that Piper and Phoebe have been separated practically since Prue's death, and in that timeline Phoebe did not get pregnant with an evil baby.
My visions have not changed. Once she conceives your magical heir, you won't need to keep up pretenses anymore. I'll take it from there. To be your source. To start a new evil order. To kill the charmed ones. This was my vision from the beginning.
Destiny works in mysterious ways, especially on this show. So it's just something I find very curious. This whole thing was something that has been gnawing at me ever since I rewatched the episode, and I just want to share with you guys. But anyway, what about you? What do you think? Is it plausible or just a bunch of baloney? But yeah, please let me know what you think. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye!